Matt Sharp, we met through our publicist, and he wanted to cover Not Tonight, so he and I started talking on the phone and emailing with each other, became friends, and he played live with us a few times when we were touring If It Was You. So when it came time, when we started demoing songs for So Jealous, I sent him out a couple and asked him if he would come up and play some Moog, and he said absolutely. So I sent him everything we had and asked him if he would come up with a few parts.
He like transformed the record.
He pretty much came up with a part for everything, and
like
he just
80%
came in
of the
and
material he laid something down on.
He seriously did. Like literally almost every song on the record, he was like, "Well, I have a part. Can I lay down this part?" And so we ended up using a lot of it, even if it was just background, just because it really seemed to add this dimension that it was seriously like a different artist coming in and giving a whole different perspective. Songs like Walking with the Ghost.
He's wearing goggles.
Yeah, he had his whole little outfit, and he was very uncomfortable with us coming in there. Nobody was in there all day. Like he really,
Him and Howard.
He was in there all by himself. And anyway, it was such a gift. We were so glad. It really changed everything for us. This song, Love Type Thing, didn't make it on the album. We just used it as a B-side. And sometimes I feel regretful of that. I really like the song, and I wish maybe it was on the record. But as a B-side, just out there, and I don't know, it's all right.
We seem so serious. We should make less jokes. Next record, we should wear dark makeup and make less jokes. Note to self.
We really did have fun, though. Like, there were so many days that...
That's a neat outfit you had there.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so we moved to the Armory. The Armory is basically where I wish I lived. And Jane and everybody, like Rob and like Misha, everybody at the Armory was so amazing. This was like really close to my neighborhood. This was like being a real like rock star. Like this is what most bands do, is they go to beautiful studios like this and record it. And it was the first time
for years
we got 2 weeks
and made the best of it.
Yeah. Oh my god, every day like I would like do at least an hour of video game playing, an hour of sitting in the lounge. We'd have a barbecue, and
watch hockey.
It was awesome. The playoffs were going. We lived it up. I was there people like were like, yeah, you guys, you were all about producing this record and being there every day. I was just there because I loved it. Like I just loved the studio. It was really awesome. So this part of the record, this is when things really started to transform. We were really happy.
Like playing more on the record and co-producing the record and being.
It was fun too because it was the Stanley Cup, and so. We literally constantly were watching hockey, and there was so many hanger-ons that would come by the studio to hang out with us and watch hockey with us.
Well, making a record can be like
awesome.
fun touring. Sometimes you get really isolated, and we'd been isolated for
months.
Like months it felt like, and so to get to the studio and be doing a lot more socializing and a lot more just, you know, you'd wait till about 3 or 4 in the day before you really went in and started hearing stuff. You'd be at the studio to make decisions, but it was really, you know, late in the day that you started to make decisions about what the song was going to sound like, because there's just so much other stuff that has to happen before you can actually really hear the mix. But it was great. The first couple days were a bit scary because Sarah didn't like the mix for I Know, and she basically freaked out and told them we needed to add a few extra days and remix the song, which we did. And that was like the first time we'd ever really pulled that kind of moment.
No one else is talking. What's wrong?
Oh, we had this moment with John and Dave where we asked them. We just talked incessantly, and if it freaked them out, because they wouldn't respond.
They wouldn't respond to us.
Excuse me?
It's weird because being in the studio, we were hearing ourselves, I think, at a level that we hadn't heard ourselves at before, and I totally freaked out after the first couple of days. I thought that it sounded too hi-fi. I'd been listening to the songs as demos for months, and all of a sudden I was like, it sounds good, but it's not necessarily the vibe I want. And especially with my songs, I really push to have them sound, I think, a little bit more, a little bit rougher.
Is that really what I look like?
Sometimes. But anyway, it was totally an intimidating studio to be in. But it was still really fun.
And at this point, like, no record company people would come down. Like, we've always had very little involvement from everyone, but we didn't let our managers come down until like the last week of mixing,
And they had lots
even
of
the band
opinions.
hadn't been there in a couple weeks. And
Yeah, the band I remember started
weird.
coming in when we were in the Armory, and I remember I Bet It Stung. They were listening to the rough mixes, and they were like giving me pointers, and I was like, oh my god, I wish
I remember
everyone
we went
would
out
get
to
out.
the car and we listened to like a couple songs with Rob, and he thought the keyboards were too high and Walking with Ghosts, and he was giving all these critiques, and I just was like,
Okay, nobody can
yeah,
come back
just
in
go
and listen.
leave again. We've too many cooks in the kitchen. There was 5 of us producing as it was, like, so, you know, we just really had to settle in. And I think by the time we left the Armory, we were totally happy being there.
And that's totally fine. But I always think that's a good thing if I want to sing her songs.
That's the end.
That's actually not our record. That's not our tapes. That's Brian and Angela's record. They actually
Well, in the evenings after we finished, they would put down some hot tunes.
seriously.
Brilliant. You know what we need to do? We need to get yo-yos.
Unfortunately, that's my spot.